Welcome to the Campground Catalyst Podcast, the show dedicated to fueling success in outdoor hospitality. Whether you're an outdoor adventurer, a campground owner, or looking to build your legacy in outdoor hospitality, you're right where you need to be. We're here to guide you through the fascinating world of campground management, unique real estate strategies, and the gratifying opportunities created by outdoor hospitality. Our mission is to inspire and equip you with the knowledge and insights you need to build a successful business and create a legacy worth leaving. The Campground Catalyst Podcast is proudly sponsored by Beyonder Camp, your trusted outdoor hospitality experts. Subscribe now, join our active online community, and let's ignite our passions and potential together.
Hey, it's time for a Memory Makers session in our Campground Catalyst podcast. Adam, Don, Justin, myself, Robert Earl. Let's jump into the topic about RV life hacks, some tips and tricks for full-time RV living. Justin, why don't you kick us off? You did some RV full-time living and had some unique stories with education and doing that with the kids. And what's the one thing that stands out to you about doing that?
Oh, one thing. Just get started. It literally came from an idea of let's just do it, and that's all it took, right? And I just remember the conversation I had with my wife, and she says, "What should we do? I want to do something different. I want to get out. I want to go on an RV trip for a year." And I was like, "Yeah." So just getting started. It was definitely hard to get going with the schools because we had a kindergartner and a second grader at the time, and that was definitely a little bit unique. That a lot of the full-timers you hear about are maybe retirees, people traveling around the country, nowhere to be necessarily, but it was a great opportunity and we took it. So probably hard to say one thing necessarily, but it was definitely an amazing time.
So Adam, Don, how jealous are you when you hear about people that are doing full-time RVing and you're not?
Yeah, there's some jealousy, no doubt. I aspire to go out more. I mean, I've mentioned this on, I think, our first episode, that having an RV really opened up a lot of doors for us, especially having a couple kids, made us get out camping more than we ever did in the past. Because, car camping is such a pain in the neck. You're getting all the stuff together in the car, you're sleeping in a tent with your kids, one of your kids maybe peeing all over the place, it's all kinds of trouble. But we got the RV, we got out, I think I mentioned last, it was like 3 or 4 times as many times per season. But yeah, I mean, the challenges of having, kids and co-parenting and such it makes it tough to do that in my world. It's definitely something, being more transient would be something to aspire to, no doubt.
I like the idea of just being able to on a whim say, let's just go and get out and go somewhere. If you do that, just, in our case now, if to make a reservation hotel, you run the risk of there's no hotel rooms available, or they're like triple the normal price, and it just ends up being not worth it, and then don't go. So if you have the RV, you just say, let's just take off and go somewhere. It doesn't really matter where. Even if you don't have a campground even to go to, you can still pull over on the side of the road and whatever, and just park and still be good and enjoy your trip. So there's definitely lots of freedoms that come from it.
One of the things I liked most was having our stuff with us. It was our house. It was our second house. And in fact, we wrote it off as such, right? It has a bathroom and a room, and it's a second home. And having all of our stuff, a closet, food, refrigerator, how amazing is it to run around the country with your own belongings? And when you go to a short-term rental or a hotel or whatever, you're digging out of your suitcase, putting it all back in, what's clean, what's not, I don't know, but it's so much easier and nicer to have all your own stuff.
You're like a snail or a turtle. Got your house with you wherever you go.
I'll pick that.
Robert, let's turn the mic back on you. Can you tell us about your adventure getting into it? Because now you've been on the road for a few years and you're in your second home on the road.
We are, and every other day I run into somebody, whether it be at the grocery store, the convenience store, restaurant, or at the campground, that is only part-time, that regrets, or they always say someday I'll get to this. So my wife and I made a very, very clear commitment that if we didn't do this now, there was no guarantees of someday. She's at a conference right now on the Florida beach, and in one of the units there, somebody went out swimming and didn't come back. So you don't know what's going on with life. I mean, that's really something. So a couple considerations that we did, you brought up that we're on our second unit. When there are so many people that get caught up in, when I read them on the forums, when I hear of other people that get caught up in paralysis via analysis. They are trying to look for the exact perfect unit. They go to the RV show, and then they go to the RV show, and then they go to another RV show, and they don't pick the right one. There's never going to be a perfect right unit for you. We started with a Class A diesel pusher to be able to pull behind. We made the convert. It's almost like switching religions, that you switch over to be a fifth wheeler then to be able to go. And even there in the fifth wheel, it's not perfect in exactly what you want. It's not going to have everything. So that's something that we've learned over the now 2+ years. What is your purpose for doing so? Is it to be able to go see family? Is it to be able to check off the national parks? Is it a combination of different items? We learned after we were on the road for the first year that our second year we really started, and I think that's what got me into a little bit of the work camping and then into the management and investment side of it, is we didn't want to be moving every 2 or 3 days, because like you said, Justin, you have everything in the house, you have everything that's in your property. You don't want to have to put it all away and bring all the slides in and then have to go. So we extended our stays. We started looking for properties like Beyonders that offer monthly sites at a special monthly rate that we would be able to stay at and go through. Two other items that this does then fit into. I can't say that we were as good when we were in a house of living off of a budget. We really did. I give my wife 110% credit on this, of using a program called YNAB or a spreadsheet to track what the budget is. What are you spending on your site? What are you spending? It's very easy in that first year when you are out on the road and doing this to you have your whole kitchen there within the unit, but you're in a new town and it's fun, and let's go out for drinks and let's go out to eat. Next thing you know, you've completely blown through your budget. So that's something where you want to pay attention to that and look at what you're doing. The last part for a tip or trick from this is you mentally have to know that there are going to be expenses. There are going to be things that come up. You are, if you're in the bigger units, we like to refer to it as a rolling earthquake. And what do I mean by that is that you're going down the road, and I was just driving down I-80 a couple days ago. Boy, there are some states that take care of their roads a lot better than others. And it's amazing how, if I took my water bottle here and I started shaking it, well, imagine what your refrigerator is going to be like, your hot water heater. There are going to be things that it's not that the manufacturer was cheap, was bad in developing the unit, but there are going to be expenses that come up, mobile repair techs, time in the shop, those types of things. So those are some things that if you were listed down that I would look at: the unit type, your purpose for doing it, your expenses that you're going to have, and the budget that you want to live with.
Yeah, Don, I'm sorry, Robert, your mention about, them not all being built poorly, I would disagree with that. Not everybody has a Brinkley like you, but, for the average RV, I mean, they're built like a house, but like cheaper. I don't know, every time we get somewhere in ours is just a normal travel trailer. It's not meant for full-time use. I'm fixing things. I mean, the rolling earthquake's a great example. I get somewhere and I really, squint when I open it, like, oh, come on, please, what's going to be, there's something on the ground that fell down from somewhere, came undone.
Lots of eggs on the floor.
Oh my God, I've gotten so good at fixing mine. I stopped even trying to put the magnetic spice rack on the wall. That thing's gone, right? Like that. It's just like it's a thing of the past. So certainly that's a great point about that. There are a lot of other considerations as well too. Like I still don't know how you fit as many hats as you did in your unit. So can you give us some insight in how you decide what stays and what goes?
It was definitely a decision, because at first we started with the yard sale, And then we started with consolidating, and then we started with, well, let's just go ahead and donate. I'd share really one thing was my wife and her daughter on Mother's Day sitting on the floor with all the photos laid out and going through the photos and sending them off to have them digitized so we'd have that information. That is something that wouldn't have happened, I don't think, in our life had we not been looking at going full timing. Now we have those memories. We can share them with extended family members, etc. You also, I was listening to a different podcast, and they were talking about the aspect of, I'm done with getting gifts in boxes. I want to have the experiences. And so I really went through and looked at what does this hat, this t-shirt, this outfit that I have, what does it really represent? What is it really, the connection that it has with me in my life? Is it something that was really towards a connection? Yes, I've been to 23 straight Indy 500s, and I probably have had a hat for every single year of it. And I'm now down to 2 of them, and they were hats that were given to me by drivers that actually won the race. And to any of the 3 of you, it wouldn't mean anything. It was just a hat. But that's how I was able to pare down and look at what I was doing. Also, really getting to the point of that ties into dishes, coffee mugs. Boy, we lived in Florida. Florida is the home of Tervis, the Tervis tumblers. And I think when we sold the house, we probably had 30, 40 Tervis tumblers that had accumulated over the years. We have 1 each now. So that does take a level of commitment, and you have to be dedicated to what it is that you're actually trying to accomplish. Because we don't have a base camp, a home that we go to. We are in the RV.
Yeah. Going back to the beginning on how we got started, maybe it's a little tip and trick for people, but we, kind of like you said, Robert, like you're not going to have the perfect RV. We chose a travel trailer to start out. Actually, I take that back. We chose a travel trailer to camp with. A month later, we decided let's go on the road. But we did a few trial runs with it. We said, this is great. It's a lot of space. It's got a slide. It should work, right? And we ended up moving. I always say moving on the road, and we ended up going into the 5th wheel and upgrading so that we could have some space. We were working and teaching and the kids, and we needed a lot more room. Like, let's face it, it was a very tight space for a family of 4, what we started with. But some people really worry about what to do with all this stuff. What to do with the house? We run a rental business. We are fortunate to have a little bit of experience in that. There's a lot of resources out there. You can get a very simple lease, but I would encourage people to rent their house. You can put your stuff in storage for a year or 2 or whatever it takes. I've met so many people that did that. Create that income. You don't need to sell everything. You don't need to throw everything out, but I'll say it's definitely liberating to cut down. And that was probably one of the best aspects of everything is you literally take what you need. That's it. And then, oh my God, the amount of money we saved on the road by not being able to buy stuff, right? I mean, where are you going to put it? You got to find a place. You can't just think of something I want and like I have a big house and now I got to fill it, type of situation. There's nothing to fill. It's a tight space. And then how to get started? Communities, right? There's a lot of them out there. There was a lot fewer back when I did it, but the internet continues to explode with opportunities and Facebooks and different RV communities and YouTube channels, whatever. I think gaining that information has got exceptionally more easy.
Yeah, very good. Robert made a mention about, the gifts, for example, that rather than having the tangible gift in a box or a bag, like you mentioned, getting the experience. And it's a total mindset shift, about how you value the experiences with the people around you as opposed to the things you have. And I think there's something very Zen about that. I think that's part of what's very cool about this. But at the same time, I know a lot of people have a hard time parting with that. I know this because when I got my RV, I got a generator for a really good price because I got it from a couple that was trying to go full time and caved after a month. Effectively the wife in that situation, she just couldn't handle not having her things in her home base. They'd fortunately, kind of like Justin mentioned, kept their house, and they ended up having to kick out, I think, whoever was in it or whatever the situation was. But all I know is I got a generator for half price that had like 5 hours on it. So, but yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, how was that transition for you, Robert?
We definitely had to go through that situation, and when you buy something, it has to have a definitive home where it's going to actually go within the RV. First year was a lot of visiting family, friends. So we went the other pendulum, like I said, with the expenses. Admittedly, we went over the budget for a period of time because we were eating out and catching up. And we're in Nashville for 6 weeks. Well, let's go out, and I think it was a shift that we made in Nashville to say, well, if we're going to do something, if we're going to go out, let's put it towards tickets. Let's put it towards experiences of going to the Ryman Auditorium, going to music. And our recent trip to Florida, it was the same type of thing, going to see Sting and Billy Joel on stage together. Who would ever think of that combination? But that's an experience that we now put to the RV aspect. I think beforehand as well, we had to know how we ourselves lived and thought about that in our spaces. There are evenings, times we both work out of the RV. We need our own space. So that goes back to the type of unit we picked. We are basically have a setup where we can always have, if we need to, have 2 doors between us, so that we have our own individual space. We can watch our own individual shows, and again, that makes that reconnection time very, very special. It's a lot simpler life, and has freed me up. I think you guys have seen it, to be more creative as well, and to have more with the endeavors of work, because I'm not worried about tied to the mortgage, tied to a particular place. It's much more freeing.
Yeah, and a lot less square footage to clean.
Yeah, and I got for my own self, again, I don't have the personal full-time living RV living experience like you guys do, but I've got quite a few friends that are doing it now and have been doing it. And as Robert was just mentioning, a good friend of mine, they're full-time RVs now for about a year and a half, and they were going to do it as a trial run for like a few months, but they liked it. It was going well, so they kept going, and they love it. They've got a few small kids that they have with them, so and they of course do homeschooling with them. But they said for them, like kind of like Robert was saying there, you get that. For them, they'd noticed a big shift from when they were at home, right? All the kids going to go off their own thing, their own space. You don't have the good family connection like we did many years ago. So, but now on the road, their family connection, family unity is better than it's ever been. They're closest as well, because their kids aren't being distracted with TVs and other stuff going on. They're outdoors having fun, enjoying themselves, and then come home to be with the family to have dinner or whatever. So they enjoy it. They love the experience for the kids to have friends. Even though, again, they're not maybe friends are going to see forever, but they while they're there, they have a close relationship with those friends. And then when they go to another campground down the road and they run into each other again, like, hey, it's like come with old time friends again. So they love that experience. And for tips and tricks, I guess 2 things I do have to add, maybe from a different perspective that you may not think of, is, and I've learned this from again other full-time RVers or things that I've just researched on my own. But when you go to do this, if you do sell your home, or if you don't have a home residency, right, you're just truly full-time, it's where you have your technical, say your residency, where you live, right? South Dakota is apparently very welcoming for full-time RVers. You can get a residency there, get your driver's license without actually having a residence in South Dakota, and they have great state laws. They have no state income tax or pension tax or property tax, so great for full-time RVers in that aspect of it. And then where you register your RV, if that's something you have not considered, most people probably just register it where you live. But if you register it in, I think it's Montana, and don't quote me on this, but Montana, if you register there, you can save a ton of money, particularly too with the just the fees and taxes that they don't charge you for if you register in Montana. So Again, don't quote me on that, but something just to look into if you're looking for some other ways to save money on the road.
Also, I'm going to give a disclaimer to Don's point on Montana real quick, because I've actually looked into vehicle registration there. So you have to be careful. You have to be a resident of Montana, or you have to have a business in Montana to register your vehicle there, because otherwise you're falsifying your records. So don't falsify your records. If you live in another state, don't do it, because you're committing a crime, and then Don will go to jail. So we don't want that to happen.
Exactly. To clarify that, that just it triggered my memory, I guess. So what I did read about that is, there's one company that does this for you. They set you up like as an LLC. They'll create an LLC in Montana, have your business there for, and then that business is what you register at RV2. So thanks for that correction there.
Yeah, if you're buying a $500,000 diesel pusher, that might make a big difference. It might be worth exploring that, because what you pay here in Colorado for taxes, you probably pay $50,000-$60,000 in taxes on that.
Exactly.
It is a structure that we have of an LLC that's running for whether it be for investments, whether it be for passive income, affiliate marketing. There's folks that do this where they have their YouTube channels, those types of things. So the definition of business, again, we're not trying to get around taxes. The rules are laid out, and it says that you have to touch your nose and pat your head. And if you have to do that in order to get the tax benefit, then I'm going to say how many times. So that's something that we definitely consider. Where you're calling your base of residence, where your mail is going to be delivered. Thankfully nowadays, majority of the items get delivered electronically. And so being able to do that, yes, I had to file multiple state tax returns because I was earning income in different states. And although I'm a resident in one state, you were earning in the other state. So it's something that you just have to take into a consideration. I think it's something to be much more purposeful about, because if we're looking to schedule, especially as we start to get to the busier season up north or in the winter season down south, being very purposeful about the direction you're going to head and getting your reservations. At Beyonder, we're starting to fill up for some of the summer months. So if you're looking to have a month at a time in a location that you want next to the Tennessee River or near Huntsville and Wheeler Lake, you need to book pretty soon. And so it causes you to be very purposeful about the types of things. And Adam, as you brought up, there's a spirituality to it. I don't care what religion, or if you're not, there's a spirituality or there's a zen that goes to it. We were talking about kids as well, in the political climate that we're in right now. The interesting thing about homeschooling is nobody is banning your books. Or if you want to choose to ban a book, you're the homeschooler, you get the opportunity to do that. So it provides some flexibility for families to be able to live the life that they want, to bring up the kids, again, in an experience-based environment versus having something that's dictated to them. We love our teachers out there. I love the teachers. And for some folks, that just doesn't fit. There's some kids that are far too creative to sit for hours upon hours in a classroom. They need to have that homeschooling environment, and that's a tip or a trick of a reason and decision to go full-time RVing, and then work camp on the side to earn some money. So there's a possibility for you.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I never thought I'd be a teacher. I took great pride in teaching my son how to read, but I will also say I will never do it again. Yeah, I'm frustrated with hell out of me. Yeah, it was hard, but going back to a little bit of Don, and this is a good show. We could talk forever. I really look forward to hearing what is going to show up on our Patreon site. But Don, mentioned his friends, and I certainly experienced this as well. As you meet the people that you are most like on the road, and the friends are everywhere. It's so easy to meet people. Everyone's out there to talk. Being in a trailer, trust me, you're not going to be in there that much. That's where you sleep, you do a little bit of work, definitely eat, but you're outside a hell of a lot more, which is great. Great opportunity to enjoy the outdoors more, and kids, you got to get their energy out. They're just going to go, and it was a great opportunity. We said, go run around the trailer, 15 times, and they would do it. You're in trouble. Go run around 5 more times. Whatever. And it was easy. I did want to mention too. You brought up the mail service. So that was one area that was a big question mark for us. Like, what do we do? How do we get rent checks? Because we were doing that. How do we see what we're getting? We're going to be moving. We were moving every 3 to 7 days. We visited 38 states and 2 provinces in a year. One tip: don't do it. A little bit too much. But the mail we just sent to North Carolina. Things have advanced. USPS does services now too, but there was specialized services back then as well that scanned it in, it goes straight to your email. Kind of enjoyable to not get as much junk mail. It was very specific mail, and now there's services that'll actually cash your checks for you. Like, you don't even need to ever actually touch the mail. It's great. But then going back to a little bit, another tip is your RVs. Do not, almost all of them, I'm not sure if there are any, but I'll just say almost all of them, do not allow you to be a full-timer in your RV and claim a warranty. So that's one of those things we learned. It's all in what you say. If you take it in to get repaired, you're not living in it. You're traveling. Okay, so just a little note. And also probably never take it to, well, actually, I won't say that.
Yeah, don't do it.
I won't do it. But
they might be a sponsor someday.
No, they won't.
But you got to be careful on how long you expect to leave it for warranty repair. I'll just say that.
Yeah, yep. We've had that situation. I get an email every morning that has the mail. It's part of why we selected the model that we did in research, is it having a full-timer's warranty, and then that's also with insurance. And then one other item I wanted to bring up is we travel with 2 small 17-pound pups, a mini Schnauzer and a Bichon. You talk about making friends. I'm not really, when I'm in off hours, I'm not really walking around and trying to make friends. Get yourself a little puppy and you will immediately make friends with everybody in the park. They all want to come up. They all want to talk to you. And that's been a little liberating for me to have that. With that, make sure that you coordinate, have a vet of record, a veterinarian of record, and then be prepared to go to the different vets, stay up on all those things. I think one of the biggest challenges we've run into is grooming, is making sure that we have a dependable place in the different cities that we go into to do grooming, and again, being purposeful and scheduling out that we'll be in a place long enough to get those appointments set. So those are things. One focus that I'm going to do over the next 12 months is also the focus on my own health, of making sure that I've just signed up for. I'm getting a full blood screening and all of my labs done, etc. So I have that as a baseline again, because I'm traveling and seeing different doctors. I'm the one that's in control of my health then, of having that data, that information, and we have a fireproof a safe that has all of that information in it, that rides along in the RV. So I'll have all of those details there.
Yeah. And well, then you mentioned finding a good vet. I mean, how about finding doctors for yourself? I mean, we could make a whole, I could keep going all day long. There are definitely some challenges you have to consider getting into this, right?
Having the basis of it, there's a lot more telemedicine. There's a lot more of a concierge type of doc. So I pay an extra fee and service so that I have a base doctor in Florida, so I can be wherever it's at, in Colorado or Alabama, do my blood work. It goes back to them connected, and then I can do a appointment just like this, unless it's something where I've actually need the X-ray or have something where I've have a injury. So I'm really diving into that a lot more here in the next 12 months, because I'm realizing it that I probably in the first year neglected that.
Well, we had some very certain dramatic experiences on our trip. One, Xander, my son, fell over, hit his head, needed stitches in his forehead. Number 2, Sydney got bitten by a rattlesnake. The dangers are real. Make sure you do have health insurance, because it comes in handy. But you know, it was kind of scary at the time on both instances. But almost saying that you're a full-timer created opportunity. It was kind of crazy that we found people that were more than willing to help. The state of California helped us quite a bit, just being a full-timer, so that was good. But But yeah, just the little things you have to think about, making sure that you have those insurance cards with you.
Yep. So
cool.
That's a lot of information. There's a lot of tips. There's a lot of tricks. There's a lot of rabbit holes that you can go down. But don't get caught in the analysis or paralysis via analysis. It's very, very difficult. If this is something that you have a dream, reach out to others. They'll give you some information. They'll give some great feedback. Like anything we see on social media, there's about 10% of it that is crazy one way or the other, but a lot of great information out there, a lot of great things. One last tip, we belong to a couple groups like our Patreon so that we could be around other people that were sharing the information. And then one or two YouTube channels, follow along with them. They'll show you what their experiences are. I love to watch their bloopers as well, because that's when they're really being honest and sharing the information. And can't wait to see we have our blooper channel. Follow along. We have our Patreon channel. If you're liking what you're seeing, give us a thumbs up. Give us a great rating on one of the podcast episodes as you're driving down the road. Being subscribed, our new episodes will be downloaded to this. Appreciate you tuning in to this Memory Makers segment. And until next time, make it a great trip.
All right, guys. It's been fun.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Campground Catalyst Podcast, where we take you behind the scenes in the fun and gratifying world of outdoor hospitality. We hope you were inspired by today's show and better equipped to take the next steps in your journey. Remember, you can continue the conversation and connect with fellow enthusiasts by visiting our website and joining the Campground Catalyst community on Patreon at campgroundcatalyst.com. There, Patreon members get exclusive access to special listener perks, they get their opportunity to engage with the host, and they get their questions answered on one of our future upcoming shows. The Campground Catalyst Podcast is proudly sponsored by Beyonder Camp, your trusted partner in fueling your success in outdoor hospitality. Until next time, keep both your campfires and your passions burning.